Strong doesn't mean silent, and independent doesn't mean isolated. So if you've been trying to do this business thing alone and it's not working out for you, right? It's not working well, then I want to talk to you about that in this episode today. And I want to give you some practical solutions and some real talk and just heart-to-heart conversation so that you will have a real understanding of what it's actually costing you. Okay, but before we get into this video, allow me to reintroduce myself. If you're new here, or if you're new to me or true to me, I'll say welcome or welcome back. Thank you for being here. My name is Katrina Marie, also known as the Boss Chick Biz Coach and your fearless leader. I am a holistic business coach and an RN health and wellness educator and a freedom strategist. And I'm here to resuscitate your business and your life, right? And so more specifically, I help and teach high achieving women entrepreneurs and successful corporate career women to build an aligned and profitable online brand and business without sacrificing their soul and sanity or compromising their health, healing, and happiness. And so as we are thinking about what it's costing you, I'm thinking about your healing, right? Because when we heal internally, then we can expedite our external success. And so that's why I talk so much about healing on my channel and why it is I take a holistic approach in my teaching methodologies. And so I wanted to kind of preface the conversation that way, as it is a great segment or segue, I should say, leading into the conversation we're going to have about what it is costing you and then what my background is and how I can support you along your journey. So the first thing that I need to say is that when we're thinking about this whole thing of, we can do it alone and we're strong, right? We're bringing and exuding the wrong energy, right? The lies we tell and the lies we believe in. And then we really try to rise to the standards of what societal norms are. And that's problematic as well. So first of all, if you have this, like, I got this, I can handle this kind of energy, that can be because of trauma response, right? That can be a trauma response. If you feel as though you're in a place where you're not really trusting people to show up for you because you've been burned before, I understand that. And that's still rooted in fear due to trauma, right? Also, if you're afraid of being vulnerable and transparent and authentically you, or, you feel like asking for help is going to put people in a position to judge you for getting support, for asking for help, and that's how you're viewing asking for help or getting support, that's also problematic, right? So I want you to, first of all, let's shift gears a little bit. Let's get in a new mindset and do understand that those are really lies you are telling yourself, and you are believing those lies. You have convinced yourself of, or allowed yourself to be convinced, that this is the only way, that I have to be the one to do it all. And so you continue to wear all the hats and do all the things, wear all the hats and do all the things. Ugh, I remember that, okay? And as I always say, girl, that ain't sexy. It just ain't. What is sexy is structure, systems, strategy, and for sure, support. Okay, so let's get into what are the hidden costs. Hidden costs are burnout, mentally, physically, spiritually, physically, and it also affects your business and your bottom line and your bank account, okay? Because you're too burnt out to really show up fully. You don't have the bandwidth or the capacity to do it all. That's why you need people resources, delegating, and that is why you need automation for systems that need to be in place if you don't already have them in place, right? Also, it's stunning your growth, right? It's hidden. It's part of that hidden cost is that it's limiting your growth potential, your income. You're not making any money, right? You're constantly second guessing yourself, meaning you don't have the level of confidence you need, or maybe once had, or maybe never had, but you couldn't really build up to it because you've been too busy being busy in your business, right? Also, rest is the new revenue, by the way, in case you didn't know. Okay. embracing ease. And when do you get to a point where you just say enough is enough is enough? I'm tired. Okay. I am tired, exhausted. And so you need room to rest. And if you don't have room to rest, you don't have room to rise. Do you understand what I'm saying? And guess what? You're missing out on genuine connections. You're missing out on collaborations. You're missing out on joy, pleasures of life, bigger profits, right? Peace. So I can tell you, as someone who used to do it all, I proudly wore the hat of, honey, doing all the things and wearing all the hats. Oh, yes. I used to do everything. I do mean everything by myself. Now, when I first started this business, I had a business partner. We co-founded this business together. Okay. And I was doing the COO stuff, Chief Operating Officer, where she was actually the CEO. I've since assumed that role. But we both were in business together, and still it was too much for the two of us. We had to get to a place of hiring help. But before we did, we suffered through that, doing it all and like, oh, we can do this. We can figure this out. We can Google our way to success, right? We've done this before. We came from corporate. We're smart, educated women, right? We've got 6 degrees between the two of us, right? We've got the whole alphabet super credentials behind our name. We don't need to pay anybody to help us. What? Like, who do these people think we are? A business coach, please. A community for what? We got each other. Well, yeah, that's that. Don't do that. Okay. Learn from me. Don't learn the hard way. That was just wow. Like that mindset now where I'm at in business and in life, it's cringeworthy, right? To think that that's how I thought before. But I did. And I'm telling the truth. And I want to be very transparent with you, because when you can see yourself in me and others who are willing to be honest and transparent and share their stories and be as vulnerable as they feel comfortable being, in order for you to resonate with that on a deeper level, then it allows you to open yourself up for change, right? So yes. And then so when I didn't have my partner anymore, my business partner, who was also at the time my life partner, my wife, we started this business together. I was doing it all alone. Okay. And well, at that time I actually did hire an assistant by then, but it's still a lot, but better than, because we were kind of back at the place of just 2 people, but 2 heads, 2 brains, 4 eyes, right? Is better than 1 brain, 1 head, 2 pair of eyes, or 1 pair of eyes, right? So, but when I started, I was doing the coaching and the tech work and the admin stuff and all of the content creation. We were the videographers and the photographers. I was doing the social media stuff, managing my own social media, creating copy, sales copy, all the content for all of my different social media platforms, my Facebook ads, all the things. I was building funnels, you name it. I did it, a gazillion other tasks as well. Okay. I wore busy like a badge of honor, and that might be something you're doing too. But let me tell you something. That actually was fear in disguise. Fear that I didn't want anybody to know that I couldn't handle all of this on my own. Fear that it appeared to me that if I can't do this on my own, like I thought other people were, well, then that must mean I'm weak, right? That must mean, why did I have to ask for anybody's help? Because I couldn't handle it. So fear of judgment, right? It feels a little, so that's the problem of high achieving women and overachievers, is we set out unrealistic expectations for ourselves, right? Also, that fear of letting go. This is my baby, my brand. I birthed this. I'm going to nurture it. I'm going to do what I know needs to be done. And I know if I do it, I'm going to do it right. But the reality is that I didn't want to let go of those things because I had a strong sense of control. I needed to be in control of all the things. But did I really? I didn't. I also had a fear that I wouldn't have enough to do, or I wouldn't be able to like stay in that creative control space, right? Like if I delegated all these things, what am I going to be really left to do? Baby, let me tell you, okay, as the CEO of your business and your brand, you are doing all the other things. You've got to be the face of your brand. You got to be the visionary, right? You've got to maintain running the show, right? You've got to look good in public appearances. Like you're the one who has the limelight on you. You need to hire a team in order for them to make you look good on the back end or at the forefront while they're working on the time-consuming, tedious task on the back end. Okay? That is why you hire talent. And that is why you invest in a team. And so they can do the work that's keeping you in grind mode, hustle mode. And when you buy into hustle culture, like I once did, and like you probably still are prior to me unsubscribing, okay, I really believed in that this is the way it needed to go, that this is how it works, right? So I'm just letting you know that that's a recipe for havoc, okay, and chaos and clutter and confusion. And I would make the compelling argument to say that it's definitely going to lead not to burnout. And it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. You get me? You got me? Good. Okay. Now, I need you to also know this. Okay, sometimes I'm thinking through how I want to say things, but if you know, you know. Okay, I am a truth teller. Let me just say this though. I need you to receive help as your superpower. Think of support as your superpower. Think of a support system as your greatest superpower. Okay. Delegation is so divine. Oh my gosh, I did not even know what I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I was missing out on. I had no clue really until I actually hired help and realized that that is what real CEOs do. They don't hustle hard, they hire help. And oh my gosh, when I say divine, I was just like, my first assistant, I was like, she is a godsend. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. I needed this. And I didn't even know, right? So you won't really know until you actually start delegating some of the work, but you got to remove some of that stuff off your table, right? Think about like when you're in corporate, right? When you're working as a leader and you have subordinates, employees that work for you, right? That report to you. You think about how you have it typically, okay? If you're in a corporation, who cares? You have a team, right? You're not doing the HR stuff and the CEO stuff. You don't see the CEO doing all the work that you're doing as a leader in your own right? And at your level, nor do you see the CEO trying to also be the COO, the CFO, the CXO, and all the C-suite execs, right? They're not trying to be the board members and other stakeholders and the frontline workers and the independent contributors. They're not trying to be the whole team. So why would you think that when you got into business that you need to be your whole team? You see what I'm saying? And that's why I'm saying there has to be a mindset shift. Because if we know that to be true in corporate, where you're not doing this all alone, there's departments for a reason. And within those departments house people. And those people resources have responsibilities individually, right? Independently. And that's what makes the team, respectively, right? So those respective departments and team members within it is what makes up the organization, and that's how the organization or company thrives. So we've got to be smart business women and think about what big businesses do, what real CEOs do, okay? So like I said, delegation is divine, as is automation. I mentioned that earlier. Asking for help is going to be allowing you to be in that creative space. It's going to allow you to expand creatively. Like I said, I felt like, what am I going to do creatively if I'm giving all this stuff away? But in actuality, after I've done that, right, I can't see it any other way. It really allows me to have the room, the space, the bandwidth, the capacity to be creative. So my creativity has expanded. Whereas when I'm doing it all by myself, if you're doing it all by yourself, not so much, right? So ask for help, and support multiplies your mission. And healing happens in communities. Support and love and joy and that removal of feeling alone and those barriers that you are up against right now, those walls and that you've hit hard, right? All the times that you've fallen, you need community to bring you back up, to keep your spirits lifted, to be that sounding board, right? You don't need isolation. So, as I started off by saying when I started this conversation, you need not be silent, because silence is going to keep you stuck. You need not be independent, and you can still be independent within a community, by the way, but you don't need to be independent in the sense that you're isolating yourself and working in silo, right? So, now, before we go any further, by the way, if you're getting what I'm giving and you love these gems I'm dropping, go ahead and leave a comment right now so we can get this discussion popping. I always want to hear what you are feeling, what you're going through right now, what your struggles are, what successes and aha moments you're having, and what you're going to do differently as a result. Now that after you're hearing the sound of my voice and hearing these examples and hearing my message today, what are you going to do differently to change what you got going on right now as it relates to working alone and trying to do it all by yourself? Okay. Let me know in the comments. And by the way, if you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode whenever I drop new content and or go live. Now, let's get back to business. So I want you to know what it really looks like to be supported, to feel supported. It can look like a number of ways, but just to rattle off a few. When you invest in coaching and community, you are going to be building the greatest and most solid infrastructure you actually need, right? You know how you can't build a house on quicksand. You've got to build it on concrete, right? You can't build it on anything that's going to sink you fast, right? Or sink you at all. You've got to build it on solid foundation. Well, community and coaching is your solid foundation. So that's part of what support looks like. The other piece of what support looks like is saying yes to help, okay? And not taking that as weakness, but as your superpower, as a strength. Even if it's not perfect, you've got to start saying yes to you and investing in yourself, okay? And allowing yourself to be poured into. And so just as a final encouragement to you, I want to say that you don't have to suffer in silence to prove your strength. You're not weak for wanting or needing help. You're wise, okay? So hold on to that, take it with you, keep it in your spirit, and keep repeating that very thing, okay? Because I want you to get the help that you need in order to succeed so that you don't remain still, stuck, and stagnant, but you can actually get to your next level and reach unimaginable heights. So if you do need support, I want you to get the help you need, starting with booking a Freedom and Focus Clarity call. Let's hop on the phone. Let's hash it out. Let's throw it all on the table and let's talk about exactly what your next steps are, what that could look like for you, and what ways I can support you and what that looks like. Okay. And also, I want you to get in the room with other women of like minds. And so if that is something that is, if you've been wanting to get into a community and you just didn't feel like you had the right community, and if you identify in this particular case for this resource, okay, not for the freedom call or for the clarity call, that can be if you're a woman who fits the description that I talked about earlier when I introduced myself. If that's you, then you can definitely get on a call with me. But if you identify as a Black woman, this particular resource is for Black women. So if you identify as, or someone who does, that you want to share this resource with or gift them with, let them know that they can get in the room with a community of like-minded women, especially if you're lacking resources, because all throughout this epic event that I happen to be a featured speaker at, and I am so privileged and so honored to have been, I was able to serve so many women who got so much value. And there were over 21 speakers plus the bonuses and all the things. It was a 3 to 5 day event, 3 days straight, for the standard package. But then if you were to get the all access pass, you have this for a whole entire year, the replay. Okay. So all of the recordings, all of the bonuses, and all the perks. Okay. So be sure to get access to the replay. It is available to you today. Now, I'm going to tune out while you tune in. Be sure to share this video out with at least 3 friends and watch the next video that YouTube recommends. As always, and until next time, I am wholeheartedly in this journey with you. Bye for now.